Okay, Ken, we have come a long way. We've looked at the market, we've looked at how individual firms operate within the market, and in your last video, we talked about the viability of firms within an industry, the purely competitive industry, and you came up with some rather interesting conclusions about allocative and productive efficiency. And so I wonder if you'd just like to, let's just chat about the implications and the meaning of those terms.
Remember where we came from, our very first clip. Fixed, finite, limited resources, right?
Yes.
And virtually infinite demands are placed upon them. So we posed the question then, doesn't it mean almost immediately by necessity that we be efficient with our methods of production, and after we've produced the goodies, how do we allocate our resources to where they really are going to provide the maximum satisfaction? So we get back to that simple definition of allocative efficiency, where resources are allocated to the areas of production providing optimal satisfaction for society.
Yes.
Productive efficiency, producing our goods and services with the least cost techniques of production.
Yeah, without wasting resources.
Absolutely. And
Okay.
the implication with our competitive market model and what we've just looked at is that by dint of the existence of so much competition, firms are forced to be super efficient with their resources. So we find firms operating at the bottom of what we call our long run or our average total cost curve in the long run.
In the long run, yes.
They are forced to, because they cannot not operate there.
Yes, that's
basically.
right. Yes, that's right. Because in the long run, if other firms come in and they're more efficient, then they force those firms to take up that technology.
Well, that's right, they do, and firms are constantly being forced to do that. And of course, the great thing is we modelled initially with technology is that we know that it would push our supply curve to the right?
Yes.
And we now know that for the individual firm, that represents a drop in average revenue and marginal revenue.
Okay, so the minimum ATC, long run equilibrium condition, is a potent example of the way in which the purely competitive market brings about that productive efficiency.
Yeah.
What about allocative efficiency?
Well, okay, our precondition, if you like, for allocative efficiency is that P, price equals marginal cost. So we've actually got to take ourselves back to our understanding of what a demand curve actually represents.
Yes.
The willingness of buyers to buy at various prices. So we can now start to attach the notion that to each and every price there's a notion of consumer utility or satisfaction.
Yes.
So it would be convenient in your head if you could actually imagine that our demand curve is really a reflection of marginal benefit.
Okay.
And so where marginal benefits equal marginal cost, we can't optimise our resource allocation any further than that. So P equals MC is going to be our precondition for allocative efficiency. And we've just discovered that it will occur in pure competition.
Okay, so price is effectively what consumers will pay for the last unit that they purchase, because that's what gives them satisfaction.
Correct.
On the other hand, marginal cost is what firms will be prepared to pay in resources to be able to produce that last unit. So pure competition in ensuring that price equals marginal cost is assuring that allocative efficiency.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
But you've got some concerns, I can see what's happening.
Yeah, I've got some concerns.
Yeah.
And the concern is, of course, it's not really a concern because it is a model after all, and it's not trying to show you the real world.
It's not flawless, that's true.
It's not flawless. But one thing is the ceteris paribus conditions that underlie that model. For instance, we said that price, the demand curve is in a given position because of given income. Okay, so income is fixed, the purchasing power. If we change income, then we shift the demand curve. Okay,
correct.
So the income distribution, in other words, dictates that some people at the lower end of the demand curve will not be prepared to pay as high a price.
They're rationed out.
They're rationed out. It's
Mm.
the rationing function of prices.
Correct.
They're absolutely right. So this idea of given income distribution does create some concerns, say, for government, which we've also seen because those governments try and alter prices by intervening and having minimum prices and things like that.
But in so doing, they create a distortion
Exactly.
of that market mechanism, which is not allocatively efficient.
Yes, absolutely. The other problem, of course, with this model is that it does assume that all products are homogeneous. In other words, that they are, they're all exactly identical. And also it assumes that there are many, many firms that are operating within that market structure.
Yeah.
Now we know from just common observation that that is not the case.
Yeah.
That products are differentiated.
And we go back to a chat we had some time ago, and I referred to that continuum of market structures. So we said that down this end of the spectrum, highly competitive markets, and that's what we've just been looking at. But of course, we also said up the non-competitive end of the spectrum, and all the way in between, there are other market structures and firms operating in there. So that's actually where we need to go.
Exactly, we need to look at the power aspect created by the number of firms within. So that meets my objection that maybe not all markets have lots and lots of firms operating with them. There's lots of examples where firms that are very important in our lives, like banks and big soap manufacturers, etc., where there are only a few firms operate, petrol suppliers, oil suppliers, and so on.
Okay, we need to establish the parameters basically. So we've looked at pure competition. I suggest we jump into the diametrically opposed opposite of that, and we're going to have a look at monopoly, where there's only one firm.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And have a look at the market power they can exert.
Yeah, and then what we'll be interested in looking at then is there productive and allocative efficiency in those situations as well.
What's your guess?
No.
No. You did right.
But that's probably because I've studied this for a long time and lectured it on the odd occasion.
On the odd occasion.
On the odd occasion.
Okay.
Okay, let's get going.
Good on you, mate.